The phone rang like a gunshot in the quiet of Silas's cramped Brooklyn apartment. Shattering the fragile peace he'd built brick by heartbreaking brick after his father's venomous words 2 years ago. "You're no son of mine," Elias had spat, his voice a thunderclap over the family dinner table, eyes blazing with the kind of disgust that sears souls. Now, on the line from across the country, that same voice cracked. Hesitant whispered, "Silas, come to the lake house in Michigan. Just us. Please. I need to make this right." Silas's heart hammered. A traitor pounding against the walls he'd sworn to keep up forever. How could he say yes to the man who'd buried their bond 6 feet under, only to dig it up now like some half-remembered grave? He arrived at the cabin on Lake Huron as autumn leaves bled crimson into the water, the air crisp with the scent of pine and unspoken regrets. Elias, broader and grayer than Silas remembered, enveloped him in a hug that felt like splintered wood, awkward, forceful, desperate. "It's been too long, son," he murmured, clapping Silas's back too hard, as if violence could mend what words had torn. Silas nodded, throat tight, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. The cabin was a relic from Elias's youth. All knotty pine walls and faded photos of fishing trips Silas barely recalled. Ghosts of a father who once carried him on his shoulders like he was the center of the world. Dinner that first night was trout grilled over an open fire, the flames dancing shadows across Elias's face as he rambled about work troubles at the auto plant in Detroit. Anything to skirt the chasm between them. Silas picked at his plate, the fish tasting of ash, wondering if this was redemption or just another layer of Elias's denial. By the second day, the rhythm settled into an uneasy truce. Mornings dawned with fog rolling off the lake like Elias's unresolved anger, and they'd row out in the old aluminum boat, casting lines into waters that held secrets deeper than any man's heart. Silas, at 28, had carved a life in New York bartending at a queer-friendly spot in the Village, stealing kisses with men who saw him as whole, not broken. But here, under Elias's watchful gaze, he felt exposed, like the rainbow pin on his jacket was a target painted on his chest. "You seeing anyone special?" Elias asked one afternoon, voice gruff as he reeled in a bass, avoiding Silas's eyes. Silas hesitated, the hook of truth catching in his throat. "Yeah, Dad. A guy named Theo. He's good to me." The silence stretched, taut as the line, until Elias grunted, "As long as he treats you right." And Silas wondered if that was progress or pity. Evenings brought vulnerability's edge. They'd sit on the porch with beers sweating in the chill, stars pricking the velvet sky like accusations. Elias shared snippets of his loneliness since the divorce. Maria, Silas's mother, had left for California 5 years back, chasing sunsets and her own dreams, leaving Elias to stew in his machismo. "Men like me, we don't talk feelings," he'd say, swigging deeply, but his eyes betrayed him, flickering with something Silas couldn't name. One night, as crickets chorused their indifferent song, Silas mustered the courage. "Why'd you say it, Dad? That I wasn't your son anymore? Do you even know what that did?" Elias's face crumpled. "A damn cracking. I was scared, Silas. Scared of what folks would think. Of losing you two. That life." The words hung, poisonous and familiar. But Elias reached out, gripping Silas's knee. "I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry." Tears stung Silas's eyes, hot and unbidden. Forgiveness felt like a ledge he wasn't ready to leap from. On the third day, a storm brewed over the lake, thunder rumbling like Elias's suppressed roars from childhood scoldings. They hunkered inside, playing cards by the fireplace, the crackle masking the tension. Silas one hand after hand, his laughter tentative at first, then freer, coaxing a reluctant grin from Elias. "You're sharper than me, kid," Elias admitted, dealing another round. For a moment, it was almost normal father and son, bound by blood and banter. But as rain lashed the windows, Silas excused himself to the loft, needing air that wasn't thick with half-truths. That's when he heard it, Elias on the phone in the den below, voice low and shattered, words slicing through the floorboards like knives. "Frank, it's me," Elias whispered, the name dropping like a stone in still water. Silas froze, heart slamming against his ribs. Frank, Elias's old fishing buddy from the plant, the one with the easy laugh and calloused hands. "I can't keep pretending. Inviting Silas here. It's killing me. What if he finds out? About us. About that night in '89. After Maria left for good." A pause, heavy with static and sobs. "I loved you, Frank. Still do. In ways I can't say aloud. But I buried it. Pushed Silas away to hide my own shame. If he knew his old man was just like him, it'd break everything." Silas's world tilted, the ladder to the loft blurring through tears. His father a pillar of stoic heterosexuality. The man who'd called him an abomination was confessing a love that mirrored his own forbidden truth. The revelation crashed over Silas like the storm outside. Not with anger, but a profound, aching sorrow for the years they'd both wasted in closets built from the same fearful wood. He didn't confront Elias that night. Instead, Silas lay awake, the rain a relentless drumbeat echoing his pulse. Dawn broke gray and sodden. The lake churned to froth. Over coffee, Elias's eyes were red-rimmed, excuses spilling out about a bad night's sleep. Silas watched him, seeing not the monster of memory, but a man shackled by his era's iron chains. 1950s, born, Vietnam-scarred, raised in a Detroit where tenderness between men was whispered vice. "Let's hike the trail today," Silas suggested, voice steady despite the quake inside. Elias nodded, relief flickering. The path wound through birch groves, leaves crunching underfoot like brittle apologies. As they crested a ridge overlooking the water, Silas stopped, breath fogging in the chill. "Dad, I heard you last night. On the phone with Frank." Elias's face drained of color, a ghost in the mist. He staggered back, hand clutching a tree trunk, eyes wide with the terror of exposure. "Silas, It wasn't, but the words died. Truth too heavy to deny. Silas stepped closer, not in judgment, but with arms open. "You're not alone in this. You never were." Elias sank to his knees, sobs racking his frame. The mighty oak felled by its own roots. Silas knelt beside him, pulling his father into an embrace that spanned decades of silence. "I love you, Dad. Gay, straight, whatever we're family." The words unlocked something primal. Elias clung like a drowning man, whispering, "Forgive me, son, for pushing you away to save myself." The hike back was a pilgrimage, steps synced in newfound rhythm. That afternoon, as clouds parted to golden shafts, Silas called Theo, voice thick with emotion. I think we're healing." Theo's laugh, warm as summer, wrapped around him through the line. "Proud of you, babe. Can't wait to meet the old man someday." Elias, eavesdropping with a tentative smile, cleared his throat. "Invite him next time. The lake's big enough for all our truths." Laughter bubbled up, real and rare, sealing the moment. But reconciliation's path twisted. That evening, a call from Maria shattered the fragile peace cancer. Stage 3. Her voice frail over the speakerphone. "I need you both," she pleaded. The woman who'd always bridged their divides, now the anchor pulling them under. Elias's face hardened. Old defenses rising. We'll go to her. Silas. Together. The drive to California loomed like a gauntlet. 2,000 miles of highways and heart-to-hearts. Silas packed with Theo's texts, lighting his phone romantic promises of strength. A bouquet emoji for every mile. As they loaded the truck, Elias paused at a faded photo in the cabin, him and young Silas, grinning with ice cream-smeared faces. I almost lost this, he murmured. Silas squeezed his shoulder. But you didn't. The road unspooled under tires humming elegies. First stop, a roadside diner in Ohio, where Elias confessed more stolen glances at Frank in locker rooms. A kiss under harvest moons that haunted his dreams. I thought marrying your mom would fix it. Thought rejection would toughen you. Silas listened, hand on the wheel, weaving empathy through his father's unraveling. It hurt, Dad, but understanding. It heals. Nights in motels brought vulnerabilities bloom. They'd share a six-pack, stories flowing like the Mississippi they crossed. Silas spoke of Theo, their first date in a rainy Central Park. Slow dances and dive bars. The quiet power of being seen. Elias's eyes softened, envy mingling with pride. He sounds like the real deal. Wish I'd had that courage. Midway, in a dusty Kansas town, tension flared. A bar stop for wings turned sour when a drunk local slurred at Silas's rainbow keychain. Freak show, the man sneered. Elias's fists clenched, veins bulging, but Silas laid a hand on his arm. Not worth it, Dad. Elias exhaled, trembling. Used to be I'd fight for you. Now I'd fight with you. The restraint was growth, raw and real. That night, under a meteor shower, Elias phoned Frank. Come clean with the boy, Silas urged from the shadows. Elias's voice broke as he invited Frank to California. No more hiding. Arriving in San Diego, Maria's condo overlooked the Pacific, waves crashing like applause for survival. She was frail, chemo-ravaged, but her hug fierce. My boys, she whispered, tears tracing laugh lines. Over the next days, the four of them, Maria, Elias, Silas, and later Frank, who flew in with quiet dignity, circled her bedside with stories and soup. Frank, silver-haired and steady, clasped Elias's hand under the table. A silent vow. Silas watched, heart swelling. His father's love, once a weapon, now a bridge. Theo arrived on the red-eye, jet-lagged but beaming, enveloping Silas in arms that smelled of home. Told you we'd make it, Theo murmured, kissing his temple. Maria's final rally was a backyard barbecue, laughter defying the shadow. She pulled Silas aside. Your dad's always been soft under the bark. Love's fierce, hurts deeper. Elias, overhearing, nodded. She's right. And you? You're my hero, son. As sun dipped, casting halos, Maria raised a glass to truths that set us free. Weeks blurred into hospice grace. She passed at dawn, hand in Elias's. Silas at her side, Theo's fingers laced in his. Grief wove them tighter. Back in Michigan for scattering ashes, the lake mirrored their mended reflections. Elias and Frank walked arm in arm along the shore. No longer whispers. Silas and Theo kayaked at dusk. Whispers of forever. This is us now, Silas said, tracing Theo's jaw. Whole. Elias, watching from the dock, wiped a tear. The truth that broke him had rebuilt them all, father, son, lovers in a tapestry of acceptance, where rejection's scars bloomed into stories of unbreakable love. The ashes swirled into Lake Huron like silver confetti, Maria's spirit dancing on ripples that caught the afternoon light. Silas stood ankle-deep in the chill water, Theo's hand warm in his, a lifeline amid the ache. Elias, beside Frank, tossed the last handful, his broad shoulders shaking not with sobs now, but release. She'd have loved this, Elias said, voice gravelly. All of us, out in the open. Frank nodded, his arms slipping around Elias's wasted gesture, so natural it stole Silas's breath. For the first time, the cabin felt less like a tomb of old wounds and more a hearth for new beginnings. That night, the four men gathered around the fire pit, embers glowing like the courage it had taken to get here. Beers clinked in tentative toasts, stories unfurling like smoke. Frank shared his side the '89 night. Rain-slicked truck bed. Elias's tentative kiss, tasting of regret and rebellion. Thought it'd be a one-off. Frank admitted. Eyes on Elias. But it rewired me. Elias squeezed his knee. The touch public. Profound. Silas leaned into Theo, whispering, see, we're not alone. Theo's lips brushed his ear. Never were. Miah more. Laughter erupted when Elias recounted Silas's toddler tantrum over a lost worm during fishing innocent chaos that bridged generations. But dawn brought shadows. Elias woke Silas before coffee. Face ashen. Frank's leaving tomorrow. Back to Detroit. And I don't know if I can follow. The words landed like frost on fragile blooms. Silas's stomach twisted. After all this, was Elias retreating? Dad, you heard yourself on that call. This is your truth. Elias paced the porch, hands raking his hair. What if it's too late? I'm 55. Silas. Plant's closing. Pension's shit. Frank's got his life. Silas gripped the railing. Lake breeze whipping his curls. Age is just a number. Dad. Love isn't. Theo joined them, sensing the storm. His quiet strength a balm. Whatever you choose. We're here. The day unfolded in quiet agony. They fished, but lines tangled like Elias's fears. Frank packed with stoic grace, his goodbye hug lingering on Elias. Call me when you're ready, he murmured. As the truck rumbled away, Elias crumpled into a porch chair, head in hands. Silas sat beside him, Theo discreetly retreating inside. Talk to me, Silas urged. Elias's confession poured out nights alone after Maria left, drowning shame in whiskey, projecting his turmoil onto Silas's coming out. I rejected you to reject myself. Cruelest thing I ever did. Silas's eyes burned. But you stopped. That's what matters. Elias looked up. Raw. Help me be brave. Son. Impromptu road trip. Silas and Theo piled Elias into the truck, heading south to Detroit under steel-gray skies. Fall foliage blazed along I-75, mirroring the fire in Elias's resolve. Stops at diners yielded heart-to-hearts. Elias grilled Theo on his graphic design gig, nodding approval at tales of queer art collectives. Sounds like you build worlds, Elias said. Theo grinned. And Silas colors them. Silas blushed, squeezing Theo's thigh. Night in a Toledo motel. Elias knocked on their door, beer in hand. Mind company. They talked till stars faded Elias's Vietnam ghosts. Silas's bar fights against bigots. Theo's foster care scars. Bonds forged in vulnerability. Detroit loomed. Industrial heartbeat pulsing. Elias's apartment was a time capsule, faded Eagles posters. Unopened mail. Frank answered his door 2 blocks over. Surprise melting to joy. Elias. Over takeout lo mein. Truths tumbled. I'm quitting the plant, Elias declared. Moving here. With you. Frank's eyes glistened. About damn time. Silas and Theo exchanged glances. Hearts full. But kismet twisted, A call from New York. Silas's bar facing shutdown. Queer haven threatened by gentrification. I have to go back, Silas told Elias. Dread coiling. Elias nodded. We'll fight it together. Back in Brooklyn, the city thrummed with urgency. Silas rallied patrons. Petitions flying like confetti. Elias arrived with Frank. Suitcases in tow. Diving into posters and calls. This place saved you, Elias said. Stapling flyers. Now we save it. Theo's designs lit social media ablaze, rainbow fists. Slogans searing, love's last stand. Tension peaked at City Hall hearing, suits sneered. But Silas's testimony voice steady. Eyes locked on Elias swayed hearts. This bar's family for those cast out. Elias followed. Throat bobbing. My son taught me that. Cheers erupted. The vote swung yes. Victory party at the bar pulsed with bodies and bass. Silas pulled Elias aside amid the throng. Proud of you, Dad. Elias hugged him fierce. Mutual. Kid. Theo whisked Silas to the rooftop. City lights sprawling. Propose. Theo knelt. Ring glinting, simple band, etched with waves. Marry me. Silas. Build forever. Tears streamed. Yes. Below. Elias and Frank slow danced. Shadows merging. Winter blanketed the lake house in snow for Christmas. Families entwined. Elias and Frank's quiet commitment. Silas and Theo's engagement glow. Toasts to Miah echoed. Her spirit in every laugh. As fireworks burst over Huron, Silas whispered to Theo. From broken to whole. Love's arc. Bent but unbroken. Snowflakes clung to Silas's lashes as he crunched up the cabin path. Arms laden with firewood. Theo trailing with a thermos of spiked cider. Inside, the air hummed with cinnamon and pine. Elias and Frank wrestling a turkey from the oven. Laughter booming like bass from a forgotten jukebox. You two look like you wrestled a bear, Silas teased, dumping logs by the hearth. Elias wiped flour from his brow, grinning sheepish. Frank's idea of basting more like a food fight. Frank chuckled, pulling Elias close for a flour-dusted kiss. Unapologetic. Silas's chest warmed, seeing his father unguarded. Loved. Was a gift brighter than the tree's twinkling lights. Dinner unfolded in feasts of memory. They passed plates heaped with stuffing and cranberry. Stories seasoning each bite. Elias recounted Maria's legendary lax. Her hands deft as she fried them in the tiny Brooklyn kitchen where Silas first learned to knead dough. She'd dance while cooking, hips swaying to salsa on the radio. Elias said, voice softening. Frank added, taught me to chop onions without crying, said real men embrace the sting. Theo leaned into Silas, murmuring, your family's got rhythm. Silas smiled, for pausing. Yeah. Finally syncing up. But under the cheer, an undercurrent tugged Elias's fidgeting, glances darting to his phone. Silas caught it, brow furrowing. Everything okay, Dad? Later, by the fire's glow, Elias cleared his throat, the room stilling. Got news from the plant. Official closure next spring. Pension's half what I banked on. Silence blanketed thicker than snow. Frank's hand found Elias's. Steady. We'll manage. I've got savings. Elias shook his head. Jaw tight. Not on you. Frank. Silas. You and Theo wedding's coming. Can't sponge off my boy. Silas's heart clenched. Pride. That old poison. Rearing. Dad. We're family. Not debts. Theo nodded. Plenty of gigs in New York. Design. Consulting Al. Dad jokes for hire. Laughter cracked the ice. But Elias's eyes shadowed. Appreciate it. Just. Need to figure my place. New Year's dawn crisp. Resolutions whispered over black coffee. Silas and Theo kayaked frozen eddies. Breaths puffing clouds as they plotted vows simple. Lakeside, with wildflowers and waves as witnesses. Want your dad to walk you, Theo said. Paddling sink. Silas's throat tightened. Think heat. Theo's eyes sparkled. Bet on it. Ashore. Elias chopped wood with renewed fury. Frank watching fond. Talk to him, Frank urged later. Elias sighed. Scared I'll drag him down. Frank cupped his face. Love lifts. Eli. Remember. January thawed into slush, pulling them east. Silas's bar thrived. Rainbow flags snapping in wind. But Theo's freelance dried up clients ghosting amid recession whispers. We'll pivot, Theo assured. Sketching logos by lamplight. Silas massaged his shoulders. Together, Elias and Frank settled in Queens. A cozy walk-up smelling of Frank's chili. Visits brimmed with home-cooked meals. Board games where Elias's competitive streak sparked hilarity. One night, over Monopoly, Elias landed on Boardwalk, crowing victory. Like old times. Silas quipped. Except now I can by the railroad without guilt. Eyes met. Understanding deep. But February's chill bit deeper. A letter arrived for Elias VA notice. Long-buried PTSD claim approved. But therapy mandated. Hate shrinks. He grumbled, crumpling it. Silas unfolded it gently. Dad, Vietnam's ghosts don't fade alone. Let us in. Elias's facade cracked. Tales spilling, jungles thick with fear. Buddies lost to mines. A sergeant's forbidden touch and foxholes that saved his sanity. Came home hollow. He admitted. Frank held him. No more hiding. Love. Session started virtual. Elias's gruff updates over Zoom calls with Silas. Doc says I'm processing. Feels like puking emotions. Spring bloom tentative. Cherry blossoms dusting Brooklyn. Silas and Theo's wedding planning hit, snags venue booked. Officiant queer, but pricey. Elias insisted. My treat. Secretly. He and Frank hustled, Elias odd-jobbing as handyman. Frank tutoring auto tech online. Building something. Elias told Silas. Voice proud. Rehearsal dinner at the bar pulsed with loved ones, Maria's sister flying in. Toasting to chosen and blood kin. Theo's vows draft. Read aloud. Choked Silas. You showed me home's a heart. Not a place. Elias pulled Theo aside after. Take care of my boy, or I'll haunt you. Theo laughed. Deal. Wedding day dawned misty over the lake. Michigan calling them back. Guests trickled barflies. Design pals. Frank's bowling league. Silas stood in the cabin. Mirror reflecting a man remade. Slim tucks hugging his frame. Hazel eyes alight. Elias entered. Suit crisp. Boutonniere trembling in his fingers. Ready. His voice wavered. Silas turned. Walk me. Elias's nod broke open. Honor of my life. The aisle pine needles carpet led to an arch of birch and roses. Theo waited. Dark eyes shining. Curls tamed. Vows exchanged like breaths, in storms and sun. I choose you. Rings slid. Ceiling. Rings glinted as they danced first. Lake lapping applause. Elias cut in. Twirling Silas clumsy but earnest. Your mom's smiling somewhere. Frank claimed Theo next. Surprising with two-step flare. Fireworks later lit the sky. Echoes of inner bursts. Honeymoon whispers. A cabin extension for Elias and Frank. Legacy built. But autumn winds carried whispers of change. Theo's ex. A toxic shadow from college. Resurfaced emails laced with jealousy. Dredging insecurities. He says I'm settling. Theo confessed one night. Voice small. Silas held him fierce. You're my everything. Elias. Visiting. Overheard. Pulling Theo for a walk. Son-in-law. Listen, love's not perfection. It's showing up. Theo returned lighter. X blocked. Strength rippled. Thanksgiving gathered them. Table groaning. Elias carved turkey. Frank mashed potatoes. Silas and Theo stirred gravy. Toast flowed. To Maria. To truths unearthed. As pie steamed. Elias raised glass. To family messy. Mended. Mine. Laughter sealed it. Bonds iron. Winter's grip loosened into hope's thaw. Valentine's snow blanketed the city in hush. But Silas's world spun with color. He surprised Theo with a rooftop picnic blankets. Lanterns. Takeout from their first date Thai spot. To us. Silas toasted. Feeding Theo a spring roll. Theo's grin lit brighter than string lights. Best husband. Below. Horns blared indifferent. But up here. Love cocooned them. Back home. Elias and Frank FaceTimed from Detroit. Elias's new gig at a classic car garage thriving. Frank's community college class booming. Miss you boys. Elias said. Backdrop of gleaming chrome. Come visit. Got a 67 Mustang purring. March Madness hit with Theo's big break, a queer nonprofit commissioning murals for Pride. Sketches sprawled their apartment vibrant fists. Intertwined hearts. Silas watched Theo paint late. Brushstrokes fierce. This is you. Silas murmured. Kissing his neck. Theo leaned back. Us. But deadline pressure frayed nerves. Theo snapped over spilled paint one dawn. Sorry. He muttered. Eyes down. Silas pulled him close. Breathe. We've got this. A call to Elias. Theo's stressing. Elias's advice. Gruff gold. Remind him why he creates. For the kids like you were. Theo rallied. Murals blooming on Brooklyn walls, rainbows reclaiming concrete. April showers birthed May flowers. And with them, a bombshell. Frank's doc visit, early prostate. Treatable, but terrifying. News hit over brunch. Elias's fork clattering. We'll fight it. Silas vowed. Driving up post-haste. Hospital waits wove worry tight. Frank joked through scans. Beats bowling alleys. Elias paced. Knuckles white. Silas gripped his arm. He's strong. Dad. Chemo loomed. But Frank's spirit buoyed support group, Tales of Survivors. Tattoos inked post-remission. Theo designed awareness tees. Sales funneling to research. Art is armor, he said. Summer sizzled. Pride Month exploding in parades. Silas and Theo marched arm in arm. Elias and Frank joining Elias's rainbow sticker on his toolbox gleaming. Floats thumped bass. Confetti rained. But a counter-protest heckle pierced. Slurs hurled at a teen hand-in-hand with his boyfriend. Elias surged forward. Voice booming. Back off. Love's no threat. The kid's grateful hug lingered. Silas beamed. My hero. Elias shrugged. Sheepish. Learned from the best. Frank's first round wrecked him nausea. Fatigue but family rallied. Silas cooked broth. Theo cued playlists of Frank's Sinatra faves. Elias read bedside. Voice steady through chemo fog. Remember our first road trip? You drove that beater Ford like a race car. Frank smiled weak. Best co-pilot. Remission whispers came in July. Scans clear. Celebration barbecue at the lake, ribs smoked. Beers chilled. Frank toasting. To second acts. Fireflies danced as Elias proposed kneeling on the dock. Ring simple silver. Marry me. Frank. For real. Tears. Yes. Hugs. August heat wave baked the city. But Silas's bar hosted a fundraiser, queer elders' stories shared over craft cocktails. Elias bartended amateur. Spilling more than pouring. Patrons charmed. Your dad's a natural. Theo laughed. One tail gutted, an old vet. Love lost to don't ask. Elias listened rapt, later confessing. Sounds like me. If not for you. Silas hugged him. That's why we fight. Fall foliage tour, road trip to Vermont. Leaves aflame. Cabins. Cider mills. Hands held across consoles. Elias and Frank planned vows small. Courthouse. Then lake renewal. Silas and Theo scouted venues. Dreaming expansions. But a storm stalled them in a B&B. Power out. Candlelit truths. Theo admitted foster fears of abandonment. You anchor me. Silas vowed. Elias. Overhearing walls thin. Shared next morn. Frank's my rock too. Cancer showed that. November elections loomed tense. Rights whispers fraying nerves. Silas volunteered. Knocking doors for equality. Elias joined. Door-to-door grit translating to ballots. Can't let him win. He growled. Victory night. Bar overflowed cheers. Tears. Toasts to progress. Theo's mural edition, voting fists. Intertwined. December's chill wrapped gifts of growth. Christmas at the cabin, trees trimmed. Stockings stuffed. Frank. Hair sprouting silver fuzz. Hung ornaments with Elias. Silas and Theo exchanged promise rings vows renewed yearly. New Year's Eve. Under Huron stars. They linked arms. To chapters unfolding. Elias said. Fireworks bloomed. Hearts full. Spring's promise stirred again. Cycles of love enduring. Easter lilies bloomed defiant in the cabin window boxes. Their scent mingling with fresh-baked ham as the family gathered for brunch. Silas flipped pancakes. Theo whisked eggs. Elias and Frank set the table with Maria's heirloom china cracked, but cherished. To new traditions. Frank toasted. Glass raised high. His remission glow radiant. Laughter flowed as Silas recounted a bar mishap, a drag queen's heel snapping mid-lip sync. Crowd erupting in applause. Elias chuckled. Sounds like your mom's show's fierce and fabulous. The mention hung tender. A bridge to loss now lined with light. Post-meal. A hike called trails greening. Birdsong stitching the air. Theo and Silas led. Hands swinging. While Elias and Frank trailed. Whispers intimate. At the overlook. Wind whipped. Silas turned. Dad. Frank wedding date set. Elias grinned. Boyish. June. Lakeside. You officiate. Honor swelled Silas's chest. Wouldn't miss. Theo squeezed his hand. Full circle. Descent brought plans, invites etched with waves. Menu trout and tacos for Maria's spice. May buzzed with prep. Silas's bar expanded backroom, queer youth center. Funded by community kicks. Groundbreaking sweaty. Symbolic, Elias wielding shovel first. For the kids. He said. Dirt flying. Theo's murals adorned walls' youth portraits. Eyes hopeful. Opening night, teens sharing stories. Elders nodding wise. A shy 16-year-old. Jamie. Confided to Silas. Came out last week. Dad's. Trying. Silas hugged. Give him time. Mine did. June wedding dawned pearl soft. Guests in pastel linens dotted the shore, plant buddies. VA pals. Brooklyn kin. Elias. Tux tailored sharp. Paste dockside. Frank calming with a kiss. Breathe. Groom. Silas. Ordained online. Stood under arch. Theo beside as witness. Vows simple. Searing, Elias's voice cracked. Frank. You saw me whole when I couldn't. Forever yours. Rings exchanged. Cheers rose. Lake mirroring joy. Reception feasted on picnic blankets, fireflies, early lanterns. First dance, Elias and Frank to Stand By Me. Steps sure. Silas cut in. Twirling Frank. Welcome official. Pop. Frank beamed. Family. Honeymoon for the grooms. Adirondacks cabin. Hikes in hot tubs. Silas and Theo tagged a day. Picnicking amid peaks. Jealous. Theo teased. Elias laughed. Nah. Got my adventure. Back. July heat grilled barbecues. Frank's checkups clean. But a scare cough lingering rattled. Allergies. Doc said. But Elias shadowed him anxious. Silas distracted with fishing trips. Lines cast companionable. Remember 89. Silas probed gentle. Elias nodded. Frank saved me then. Saves me still. August storm surge flooded Detroit basements, including Frank's workshop. Clean up mud slick. Elbows deep. Silas drove up. Truck loaded tools. Team effort. He declared. Hauling boxes. Theo designed flood barriers sketches for community. Amid muck. Bonds deepened Elias's war stories surfacing. Parallels to modern displacements. Loss teaches resilience. Frank said. Wiping brow. Evening bonfire, marshmallows charred. Tails toasted. A neighbor. Queer couple displaced. Crashed. Instant kin. September equinox balance days. But Theo's mural commission expanded national tour. Cities clamoring. Proud. Silas whispered packing. First stop, Chicago. Theo's flight delayed. Stranding Silas solo. Loneliness nipped. Bar shift endless. Elias called. Breathe. Son. Loves a phone away. Theo's text selfies amid windy city rainbow swarmed. Return airport hug. Missed my anchor. Silas grinned. Always. October harvest moonlit pumpkin patches. Family outing whimsy. Hayrides bumpy. Cider tart. Jamie. Now regular at center. Tagged along his dad. Hesitant. Nodding hellos. Progress. Elias pulled Jamie aside. Took me years. You're ahead. Kid's eyes wide. Thanks. Mr. R. Silas watched. Heart full. Ripple effect. November's chill heralded holidays. Bars turkey trot 5K raised funds. Runners in rainbow socks. Elias jogged. Huffing comic. For charity. Finish line medals. Hugs. Frank timing proud. Thanksgiving redux. Tables merged. Recipes swapped. Toasts to gratitude. Maria's laugh echoed in clinks. December's advent candles flickered hope. Christmas pageant at center. Jamie as narrator. Voice steady. Post-show Coco. Silas proposed expansion scholarships in Maria's name. Donors poured. New Year's bash at bar. Countdowns. Confetti. Kisses. Elias and Frank slow danced amid youth. To cycles. Silas toasted Theo. Ball dropped. Arms linked. Futures bright. Winter's hush promised spring's stir. January's frost-etched windows like lace. But warmth bloomed in the center's new Wing Maria's Legacy Lounge. Walls lined with books and beanbags for queer youth dialogues. Silas cut the ribbon. Elias beside. Scissors trembling slight. Mommed beam. Silas said. Elias nodded. Throat working. She does. Inside. Jamie led icebreaker. Teens circling trust falls. Frank facilitated art therapy. His steady hands guiding sketches of hidden selves. Theo's murals framed it all portraits evolving. Faces from fear to fire. February's Love Fest, center's speed-friending event. Hearts fluttering. Silas emceed. Mic hot. Connections count. A match sparked, Jamie and Alex. Shy smiles budding. Elias chaperoned. Awkward but earnest. Like watching you grow. He told Silas later. Over diner pie. Proud. Theo's national tour wrapped, triumphant book deal inked. Walls of witness. Signing party at bar, Hughes snaked. Elias hawking merch. My son-in-law's a star. March winds howled. But calm anchored Frank's milestone scan clean. Celebratory steak dinner. To warriors. Theo toasted. Elias's eyes misted. Couldn't without you all. Post-meal walk. Confessions soft. Cancer cracked me open. Frank said. Let love flood in. Elias squeezed hand. Floods mutual. April Fool's pranked light. Silas swapped Elias's coffee decaf. Payback for youth tricks. Laughter roared. Real jest, Center's prank or fundraiser. Silly string sales soaring. May bloomed with graduation's Jamie cap and gown. Dad teary clapping. He came to pride. Jamie whispered Silas. Huge. Elias high-fived. One step. June's solstice sun gilded Elias and Frank's anniversary, vow renewal doc renewed. Arch refreshed. Guests fewer. Intimate, Silas officiating again. Theo best man. Vows deeper, through chemo and calm. You're my horizon. Rings reapplied. Lake blessing. Picnic followed. Ants marching. Joy unscripted. Silas pulled Elias aside. Happy. Dad. Elias's grin wide. Bliss. July inferno, heat dome baked. But lake house beckoned escape. Splashes. Swimsuits. Stories. A storm trapped them indoors cards. Confessions. Theo shared foster files, unearthed birth mom seeking contact. Scary. He admitted. Silas held. We'll navigate. Elias advised. Truth's door knock gentle. Call connected tearful. Healing hints. August's lazy haze. Bars beach bash. Sand imported. DJ spinning. Elias DJ'd oldies. Crowd grooving. Frank judged pie contest. Bias toward Silas's key lime. Nightcap. Stargazing. Wishes whispered. More like this. Theo murmured. September's back-to-school vibe. Center workshops boomed resume builds. Coming out scripts. Jamie mentored. Alex beaming support. Elias volunteered carpentry. Building shelves sturdy. Hands on hope. He quipped. October's chill crisp. Harvest fest. Pumpkins carved queer icons. Costume contest. Elias as lumberjack Frank. Hilarious. Treats trickled. Treats sweet. November's gratitude circle. Center shares. Voices layering thanks. Silas's, for mended hearts. Elias's, for second chances. Turkey trot redux. Legs pumping purpose. December's lights twinkled early. Center's winter wonderland. Drag storytelling. Ho-ho queens. Family baked. Frosted. Frolicked. Christmas Eve mass optional. Inclusive Elias attending. Him humming off-key. Gifts unwrapped. Theo's sketchbook for Silas. Custom. Elias's, family tree etched. Branches inclusive. New Year's dawn. Resolutions rooted deep. Lake frozen. Skates sharp. Glides graceful. Falls forgiven. Ball drop virtual. Cheers unified. To thriving. Arms entwined. Seasons turned. Love's rhythm steady. January thawed resolutions into routines. The center's lounge a heartbeat for Brooklyn's hidden hearts. Silas mentored a new group trans kids navigating names and narratives his own journey a compass. It gets bigger. He assured. Echoing elders who'd steadied him. Theo's book launch packed the bar. Walls of witness stacks signing. Elias stacking pies for afters. Bestseller material. He boasted. Hugging Theo. Frank's forward reading choked rooms. Art mends what words mar. February's frostbite nipped at plants up blizzard blanketed. Flights grounded for a conference Silas keynote. Virtual pivot, Zoom from cabin. Snow framing. Elias shoveled paths. Frank brewed tea. Break a leg. Elias texted mid-talk. Applause pixels praised. Silas's words on rejection's ripple landed raw. Post. Theo called. Killed it. Love. March's thaw revealed cracks. Center funding dip. Grants ghosting. Silas fundraised Frentico FundMe. Gala dreams. Elias rallied plant retirees. Poker nights pocketing proceeds. Old dogs. New tricks. He grinned. Frank auctioned custom carvings lakeside scenes. Queer symbols subtle. Gala glittered. Theo MC. Drag divas dazzling. Bids soared. Crisis averted. After party toast. To community concrete. April's renewal. Jamie's college acceptance NYU film. Scholarship suite. Party potluck. Dad's mingling, Jamie's beaming. Elias is nodding. Proud pop moment. Silas whispered Theo. May's Mother's Day honored Maria, center brunch. Story shared. Elias laid flowers at her plaque. Miss you. Mayor. Frank's arm around, solidarity silent. June's pride swelled, massive parade float center built. Youth marching bold. Elias carried banner, dads for equality. Slurs shouted. But solidarity shouted louder, counters chanting love. After. Rooftop recovery, beers. Band-aids for blisters. A news crew clipped Elias. My son's truth taught mine. Viral. Views vaulting center visibility. July's heat haze, lake retreat. Cool dips. Storm sequel, power out. Generator hum. Board games by lantern. Truths tumbling. Theo's birth mom, visit loomed coffee date cautious. Nervous. Silas asked. Theo nodded. But ready. Date unfolded gentle, hugs hesitant. Histories hashed. Welcome. Theo said after. Silas held post tears. Gorgeous growth. August lull, bar's anniversary bash. Decade deep. Toasts traced timeline from dive to haven. Elias slideshow clicked. Old pics. Maria midlaugh. Roots run deep. Frank proposed center collab. Auto shop apprenticeships. Hands-on healing. September's sharpen. School year surge. Workshops waiting lists. Jamie's dorm drop-off. Tears and trunk packs. Call anytime. Elias told him. Uncle duty. October's orange. Haunted hayride fundraiser. Scares silly. Costumes crowned. Theo's vampire slayer. Silas's ghost of boyfriends past. November's hearth. Election watch party. Nerves knotted. Winds whispered, rights reinforced. Relief reigned. Turkey thawed tension. Circle shares. Gratitudes grounded. December's dash. Holiday market. Center stalls selling crafts. Carolers queer caroling. Joy jingling. Family ski trip whim. Slopes slippery. Laughs landing. Christmas. Gift exchange glow, Elias's whittled waves for all. New Year's. Ice rink ring in. Spins and spills. Countdown to bold tomorrows. Fireworks fractal. Futures fractal. Cycle spiraled. Loves weave tighter.